And hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. And as always, thanks so much for being here. I hope you enjoy the show. Well, today we're going to highlight a wonderful theater called Palante Theater. And Rafael Feliciano Roman, the president and CEO, is my guest today. And Rafael, thanks so much for being here today. Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. What I like to do with the show, as I always say to the viewer, is to start off with the background of the guest. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about yourself? Take us back.
Of course, yeah, I'll take you back. So I was born and raised here in the Brass City, Waterbury, Connecticut. August 30th, 1987. I went to all the local schools here, was a young theater kid here, performed at Seven Angels Theater, did my local high school shows. I was in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, Guys and Dolls. And then after high school, I moved away from the city, being a young, queer, Latina man of color who loved theater and arts. Wasn't always the safest space, but I loved it. And so I moved away. I lived in Chicago, I lived in New York, I lived in Puerto Rico, I lived in Massachusetts, and I still loved theater. It called to me always. And so after living away from some time, I moved back home during the pandemic. Like many people, my world shifted, my life shifted, and I came back to Waterbury and then to Connecticut, and I realized that there was a need for Latina, Afro-Latina, Black box theater spaces and theater companies that were focused and reflective on the diaspora, on the community. And that's not to say that what I love about Connecticut and everywhere is there's a beautiful theater community, but just something that focuses and highlights on us. And so about 3 years ago, I started the Afro-Caribbean Cultural Center, which is the parent organization of the Palante Theater Company. And Palante was always a part of that and a brainchild of that. And so from that birthed our first season, which is this year and where we are today. But I am a lifelong Waterburyan. I love it. I'm back home in Connecticut, and now with this show going on tour statewide, I'm happy to bring Palante into the homes of your viewers and into your world.
When you talk about your wonderful background, were you a performer growing up? Did you think that you'd be an actor all of your life?
So I fell in love, believe it or not, with the back end of this stage. So in middle school, when I first auditioned for my first show ever, Kevin Collins, who was my theater teacher, may he rest in peace, had just moved up to the high school level. We had a brand new teacher, and I had auditioned, I had done shows and performed, and that was exciting to me and nice, but I loved the production side of it. And so after high school, I actually was an intern at Seven Angels Theater. They had an amazing internship program. I was what's affectionately called a techie. I would be a spotlight operator and a lighting grip and a lighting plot point setter, so I would get on the tall ladders, and I fell in love with the behind the scenes aspect of theater. Being a background or being an extra was exciting for me because I wasn't the lead like I was in high school, but I fell in love with more of the production value of it. So for me, and hence why I'm the artistic director, founder, CEO, and the back end of Palante Theater, because that's what truly excited me. I love that any actor could come through, that the director saw, and make this magical world come to life. And really working with the set design and the lighting and the props and painting, that all excited me. I liked doing the front of stage, but I much more enjoy now, especially with our theater company, seeing so many amazing Black, Latina, and white folk and just amazing different culture folks come through Palante and perform for us, and seeing the magic of theater comes to life. I'd like to consider myself the Walt Disney of Black Box, and so that's what excited me.
Well, the viewer may hear black box. What does that mean?
Yeah, so black box theater is a great question. Thank you so much for that. It's a concept of having a small, intimate theater space of no more than 75 seats max. A lot of our colleges and institutions and bigger places and bigger cities, think of a storefront. Think of when you're going downtown and you see a cafe and you see a restaurant, and it's a small, intimate space. Imagine there being a small theater in there with no more than 60, 75 seats, a bar, a concession stand, a ticketing counter, and it's an intimate place to create and see theater. And what I love about Waterbury and throughout the whole state of Connecticut, there are tons of downtowns and main streets that are calling and craving for this. And so a black box theater is exactly that. We are proud to announce, and pleased on your show to announce, that we will have a small black box in downtown Waterbury starting in 2024. And so that's always been the dream for me, is to have a couple of these Palante Theater black boxes throughout the state, from the shoreline to the capital city to the Brass City. And then these amazing shows can tour in those those cities, and also work with amazing institutions that already exist. Like we're going and taking this Calling Puerto Rico tour to the Klein in Bridgeport, to Cabaret on Main in East Haven, to Regamos Theater in New Haven, to the Bushnell in Hartford. And so it's also creating and partnering up with existing institutions and the Long Wharf Theater, Jacob and the team out there in New Haven, and bringing and connecting shows on both ends. And so that's what Black Box is. It's small, it's intimate, and it also can travel and go through other venues.
To the viewer that is listening that, thought that maybe they would be an actor but decided that they would like to be behind the scenes, is it hard to break in behind the scenes? Do you recommend volunteering? Is high school the time to start? Can you do something in college? Can you do something just in theater in general? What is your advice?
Yeah, my advice to them is whether you're young or young at heart, which is what I call my family members who are even age 65 plus, there is never, what I love about theater in our community, there is never a wrong moment to jump in. And so we welcome you here at Palante Theater. You can look us up at palantetheater.org. If you are interested, we have volunteers, we pay our production team, we train our team members, and we work with experts in the field to get us to that level. And so whether you're a high school student who's looking and hungry to get into the theater world on the back end, please come to us, and then we could even connect you. If we're not too close to you as far as getting there, we will find you, and that's the beautiful part about the theater community in Connecticut. We'll connect you with a local theater company that could use your skills and talents. Or to those, for example, one of our cast members, Jeffrey Rossman, who's kind of like a little notoriety down there on the shoreline, retired Army veteran, military man, is an actor. He's on the stage, but he's a brilliant man when it comes to costuming on the back end and really helping us with that. We have working professionals. All of our current production team members all work full-time jobs. Celeste Caraballo does our set design and our costuming, and she works for a local congresswoman. Angelina, Huertas, who does our sound systems and lighting stuff, works for the Boys and Girls Club, who was a fellow intern with me at Seven Angels. And so there's never a wrong moment or time. If you want to be on stage, great, audition. There's lots of that opportunity, but we need more folks on the back end. We need more individuals who are interested, and especially if you are Black, Latine, Afro-Latine, or women, or a minority identified person, we want to give you that opportunity, and we consider ourselves a teaching Black Box theater company, so we welcome you all.
Tell us where your thoughts are about creating Palante. Did that happen as you were growing older, that you wanted to create your own theater company?
Correct. So when I lived in one of my communities in Massachusetts, this city called Holyoke, Massachusetts, it has the #1 percentage per capita of Puerto Ricans in the United States, close to 50% of the city's population. And there was no Broadway house. There was no like Palace Theater or Schubert Theater or Bushnell in that city. And then there was no real place for theater, for exploration. And so Palante Theater 1.0 is what I call it. We were what's called a presenting house, meaning we brought in other theater companies to bring their productions. We brought Dancing on My Cockroach Killers, which is based off of a poetry book written by Magdalena Gomez. We brought in La Gringa from Urban Theater Company of Chicago, which is a world-renowned play about identifying an island-born Puerto Rican versus a U.S.-born Puerto Rican, and that came in from Chicago. And so we brought in other companies to come perform. We pay them their fee. They perform a weekend and leave. And then, when I left that community and city, to go move to Chicago, it kind of dried up. And so then for me, when I came back home, still seeing that need, I said, you know what, Palante is needed here. It's needed in Waterbury, it's needed in Connecticut. And so Palante Theater 2.0 was born, which is the current version that we see now, that's been up and running now for going on 2 years. Even though this is our first year season, it took us a year to plan and prepare. And so with that, we've created now a presenting and producing house, which means we will still work to bring in outside companies to come to Connecticut to bring a show, and then we'll also produce our own shows. So this show, Calling Puerto Rico, which we're going on tour with statewide, we produced. It was a world premiere play back in February when we produced it at Seven Angels Theater, which we love. They're our partners in arms. And then now we've taken that same concept in the show, worked with the playwright, Juan Ramirez Jr., who wrote a phenomenal play, and we created and helped him create a tour version of the show. And so not only are we going to bring outside folks in, we're also going to be creating our own types of theater. We did a musical theater review a couple of months ago at Seven Angels Theater called Viva Broadway Waterbury, in which we took the best of Black and Latina Broadway and we put it into a musical theater review. And Celeste Caraballo, again, was her first time directing, her directorial debut. And so in that essence, Palante both presents and produces, and it comes from that long line of being a little theater kid in middle school, to going to high school, to interning at Seven Angels Theater, to then moving away and living throughout the world, and then seeing a need here in Connecticut, in the Shoreline, in Waterbury, and then creating that opportunity and putting our money where our mouth is. The Cultural Center has invested heavily, and to the point now where we're going to actually open a physical black box space is pretty huge in less than a year. And we've touched the lives throughout the whole, for first leg of the tour that happened last week to the beginning of the season. We've seen over 3,000 people come to see our programming and shows. And we've also done a film festival, an Afro-Latino film festival, where 74 independent films. We see theater and the arts and the stage almost intertwined, including the gold and silver screens. All of that is acting, all of that is powerful and impactful, and it's a part of Palante Theater.
You've mentioned Waterbury, I mentioned Waterbury, and people may think, I've heard of Waterbury, I've never heard of Waterbury, where is Waterbury, Connecticut? How has Waterbury embraced you and the theater? Has it been a good move for you to be there?
Yes, I have to say, because I am a local Waterburyan, born and raised, Waterbury has been nothing but open arms to me, especially in the theater community. Frank Tavarin and Sherry Marcucci at the Palace Theater, to Mattituck Museum, the cultural institutions here in the city welcome this. Seven Angels Theater, without whom we would not exist today. If Samina De Laurentiis, Jimmy, Chris, Katrina, the whole team at Seven Angels, when we approached them and said, hey, we're interested in starting this theater company that celebrates Black and Latino and Afro-Latina identity. Can we use your space? Can we come into your home and do our work, our stuff in your space? Immediately, yes. Samina and the team have not only provided their physical expertise, their knowledge, their skill set, but they've invested money. Samina De Laurentiis, artistic director, was bartending at our film festival. She has come to every single one of our shows. The Waterbury community has been so embracive of this theater company. And going outside of the Brass City, and again, for those who don't know where Waterbury is, we're located off of I-84 and Route 8. Both highways can connect. It's right in the mix master and almost like the geographical kind of center of the state. We're halfway between Danbury and Hartford. We're halfway up between Bridgeport and Torrington. And so we're literally like right smack dab in the middle. If you've ever driven on 84 and you've seen the big Holy Land Cross, that's where we're located. And so that's where Waterbury is. But outside of Waterbury, the state of Connecticut has been hungry and welcoming up Palante Theater. When we did this show, Calling Puerto Rico, in February for a 2-week run, all of the parade, Puerto Rican Day Parade and Festival Committee chairmen came to see this show. And then Sammy Vega, who's the president of the CICD, or the Puerto Rican Day Parade and Festival of Hartford, has connections with the Bushnell Theater, and they connected us. And the Bushnell Theater was loving it, and they loved the show. And they also now run the Warner Theater in Torrington. And so they're like, hey, we want to connect and work with you. Jacob Pavon at the Long Wharf Theater and his whole team, we've gone to their newly rebranded and themed theater concept, which is aligned with ours, and we're in Greater New Haven County, and so we're now partnering with them and working with them. And so it's also not just been Waterbury that's been welcoming, but the region, the state, and we have playwrights from New York City who are emailing us daily saying, look at our scripts, please produce our work. We're preparing and planning for our season. I won't give too much away because I do want anyone listening or watching to go to palantetheater.org. That's our website, or look up Palante Theater. We're going to be announcing our 2024 season, and we have some new up-and-coming playwrights and directors who are going to be taking the train in from New York City to Waterbury to do these new works. We're going to have 2 world premiere shows. We're going to do a new work festival. We're going to do our film festival again next year. The city has been so embracive of us. We cannot thank them enough, and that's evident by our ticket sales. We keep track. Our tours and our shows, a good population, I'd say about 60% come from the greater Waterbury market, but 40% of our patrons are coming from outside of this market, as far away as Providence, Rhode Island, England, all the way down to Pennsylvania or coming up to Waterbury, Connecticut to see our shows. And so that just shows the embrace and the beauty of this community for Palante Theater.
Okay, let's hold that thought. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You are tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Smart TVs and streaming services have taken over the television industry. VSC TV is proud to announce our presence on Apple TV and Roku to make watching your favorite shows even easier. You can access this service by downloading the Cablecast ScreenWeave app. Then choose Valley Shore Community TV from the list of channels. Select VSC TV Live to watch our channel in full HD. Or pick a show from our on-demand video library. VSC TV is your local Connecticut Mid-Shore Valley digital connection.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, thanks so much for being here. My conversation continues on with Rafael Feliciano Roman. And Rafael, why don't we talk a little bit about the website? What will the viewer find when they visit it?
Yeah, so right now on our website, palantetheater.org, Deborah, our viewers or anyone who goes on there is going to see it's transformed to mirror Calling Puerto Rico currently. So whenever we're in a show, the website transforms to match that show. So our users are going to see videos from that show. They can click on the links to purchase tickets for the next 3 up-and-coming cities that we have going on. We have Bridgeport at the Klein Theater this Saturday. We have in 2 weeks Cabaret on Main, the first weekend of November, and then we close out on November 17th at the Bushnell. So you can buy tickets for students, any teachers out there who want to come see the show. There is a study guide that provides national curriculum-aligned study guide materials to help you and your students digest the show. The Bushnell Theater has added a youth show with discounted tickets for $10 a piece for a daytime show that's on November 17th, so it gets you time to get your bus requests in. And so all of that will be there, including our film festival guide, our current season, and you can pre-sign up to subscribe for our 2024 season, so you can be a season patron and get automatic ticket accesses, 2 tickets for all of our shows and programs for next year. And then a little bit about us, our team. And for being a theater company in our first year, palantetheater.org, they can also find us on our social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all of these places to connect with us, including for any actors or people like we were discussing earlier who want to be on the production side. You can find out our audition materials, all of our staffing are looking, because we do pay our production team when they come on the road with us, or internship availabilities for any young person or young at heart person who would like to come and intern with us. So our website is chock full of goodness, palantetheater.org, and I encourage you all to come check us out.
The season, you're talking about 2023, and I think you mentioned a little bit about 2024. Have you thought about what's coming up in 2024? Have you even looked at 2025?
Yes, we are, believe it or not, 2 seasons ahead. So because we were working with Seven Angels, we are going to put on our larger productions. So I can confidently say, because I've confirmed with the playwright, one of the shows, a little preview, is this show called World Classic. It's going to be the East Coast premiere. It's a baseball-themed show that celebrates the life and legacy of not only Roberto Clemente, but baseball in the culture of Latinos and how we love baseball so much. We're doing a brand new work called Misfit America that has LGBTQI themes. We're doing our 2nd annual film festival. But again, those are just sneak peeks, folks. We want you to go to palantetheater.org. We will be announcing our season most likely by middle of November, right after this tour's ending, or beginning of December. And again, it's going to be a full year because we'll physically have a location. We're partnering with Seven Angels Theater, and we're working, like I said, with other theater companies throughout the state of Connecticut, including the Bushnell and Long Wharf, to really collaborate on some cool stuff. So this year, our first season, we did 3 programming events, now 4 with this tour. And next year, we're anticipating to have anywhere from 8 to 10. We're also going to be bringing in poets and comedy nights and, spoken word nights, and creating almost like a lounge, almost like a 54 Below in New York City, an evening with certain theater and entertainment folks where you can come and have a lounge feel and a pianist in an intimate setting. But I would encourage folks to go to palantetheater.org to see that season. And yes, we are looking at 2025 because we will be doing a musical this year. But in 2025, we're looking for a really popular musical. I can't announce it yet because we're finalizing the rights to it. But if you can think of popular Latino musicals, it's probably at the top of that list that we're going for 2025. And we're going to do that in collaboration with Seven Angels because it's going to be big set, big stage, big number of tickets per night. And so we're looking towards 2025 and beyond.
For the playwright that is out there that would like to submit themselves to you to take a look at their work, how would they be able to do that? Do you allow that at all?
We certainly do, and we welcome that, and we work hand in hand. We are proposing again for about March or April a new works festival. So any playwright who's interested in submitting for that, you can email us at info@palantetheater.org, info@palantetheater.org, and we will gladly accept your submissions directly, not just for the Theater Works New Works Festival, but throughout the year. If you find us a script or your works that you're aligned with, please send that in to us. Also, kind of like simultaneously for any filmmakers who are out there, if you have a film right now, you can go on our website, click on Film Festival, and you could submit your film for our next year's film festival. And there is a special code. If you email and go to our website, there will be a special link that'll say Connecticut Filmmakers, click here. You will then input your information and we'll email you a special code, so you don't even have to pay to submit your film to be reviewed for our film festival. We want to create a space for up and coming young Black, Latine, Afro-Latine playwrights and filmmakers, or those who just celebrate those stories. We'll welcome any script, any film from anyone of any color, race, or creed that is just celebrating or highlighting these cultures, right? And that's the beautiful part about it. I've seen some of the most beautiful and poignant stories written from our amazing allies who might not necessarily be from that race or class, but have firsthand experience or knowledge about a story that's powerful and impactful. Please visit our website, palantetheater.org. Our contact information is on the bottom of that, and you can reach out, and we gladly welcome that and accept that.
You're mentioning film festivals, so you're not just a theater, you're doing other things, which you've mentioned. Is that something that you had in your agenda when you thought about starting the theater? You wanted to do many things?
Correct, because as we've seen, right, and whether it's Broadway or whether it's here in the state, sometimes theaters go on the decline if you just stick with the traditional form of acting and live stage. And it's also a call back to the vaudeville era of theater, when theater would be live theater, and then you might catch the 25-cent movie nights. And so we almost are paying homage and respect and honoring of the past while looking towards the future to say, hey, in order for a lot of these theaters nowadays to survive, which we've seen so many close up shop, keeping it black box or small, intimate, 50 to 75 seats, a space that can be affordable for the organization to pay the rent and the overhead, but then doing things like film festivals and independent movie nights. Or here at Waterbury growing up, I used to go to the $2 movie theater. I would love to do $2 movie theater nights again and sell popcorn, and in our space we're gonna have a full concession stand and bar to come in and celebrate and walk right downtown to enjoy that. And we want to bring that out as well. And so that's the beautiful part about our film festival. Again, palantetheater.org for anyone's interested. We've actually done a screening for UConn Waterbury. We are going to high schools to screen our films. And so it's not just the live part, and we try for every production we do to bring a sample out to the school. So we've done performances at Crosby, Wilby, Kennedy, and even other schools throughout the state to show them the richness of the theater. And senior programs and senior centers. And so, yes, we want to think outside the box, and that's what palante means. In Spanish, the word palante is a phrase in Puerto Rican culture, which means forward, go forward, move forward. And so palante theater is truly meaning forward thinking and forward moving theater in a way that's both honoring the past and creating something new and exciting for the future.
Well, we were in the process of starting to slowly run out of time. What are some of your closing thoughts for the viewers that are watching us now? What would make them want to go and see you to begin with?
Yeah, so to all the viewers, first and foremost, thank you, and Deborah, thank you for this amazing program. come see something that's new, innovative, and fresh with Palante Theater. I would encourage you all to come see Calling Puerto Rico, the tour. Coming to a city near you, go to palantetheater.org, come see an independent film. And the beautiful part about our programming, it's appropriate for all family members of all ages and races and creeds. And the fact that this theater company is centered and focused on Black, Latine, and Afro-Latine-centered experiences and works makes us unique, makes us special. We want and encourage more. And for now, you can call on us, and we will gladly bring it to you. PalanteTheater.org. Thank you so much all for your time and energy and listening to me. And thank you, Deborah, so much again for putting this all together.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you, and thank you so much for your time. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You are tuned in Arts and Entertainment. I want to thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a super day today. See you next time.